Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here with the Monday Night Raw full show preview for September 30th, 2019. This, honestly, is going to be a very special edition of Monday Night Raw, honestly, in my opinion. I guess the USA deal for them, getting Monday Night Raw for the next few years kicked off last week, with last week being the Monday Night Raw season premiere. This Friday, SmackDown moves to Fox, no longer going to be on Tuesday nights on the USA Network. And this show, to me, honestly, is a real big finger poke. Like, everybody's just pointing like, hey, we got some stuff going down, but most of the big stuff is going to be on SmackDown, on Fox. You're going to want to watch this on Friday. USA is a company that is owned by NBC. Fox is a company that is on its own. Fox and NBC don't really play well together. They are part of the NFL contract deal, but them being involved in wrestling reminds me a lot of back in the day when Monday Night Raw used to be on USA and SmackDown used to be on UPN. Basically, they made it where Monday Night Raw could show a small commercial for SmackDown, basically saying this is what's going on SmackDown, but they were not allowed to say UPN, ever. Never were allowed to say SmackDown was on a different network. If you wanted to find it, they had to say, check your local TV listings, or something like that. So I don't really know what I guess you can say, how they're going to get around this, but basically I think once this TV deal really kicks off, I think that once we really get, the brand split and the draft underway after next week, I'm thinking Monday Night Raw is going to be its own show. SmackDown is going to be its own show. They're basically not going to talk about each other. The guys aren't going to be jumping back and forth, much like with the, what the heck did they call that? Like, Vince McMahon just came up with some, leapfrog rule where basically, only 3 guys can be invited to go from one show to the other, and then it just basically meant the whole roster was there within a month. Anybody they wanted, just for no reason at all, just go on over there. It doesn't matter. But to me, honestly, this edition of Monday Night Raw is very important for the one reason that this quite possibly could be the last time Monday Night Raw is referred to as the A show. Definitely Fox paid a lot of money for WWE to bring SmackDown to Friday. I'm kind of surprised. Friday has always been looked at as sort of like the death slot in wrestling. When TNA moved to Friday, it was definitely not a good deal. When SmackDown moved to Friday, it was not looked at as a good thing. When it was originally moved off of I think UPN moved it there at one point, and that was kind of like, man, they might get canceled because of the fact that they're not pulling their weight and they're not bringing in the ratings. So, this is a big deal. All hands on deck. Monday Night Raw, to me, ever since I think 1993 when it first debuted, it was always looked at as the flagship show for WWE. I can remember the first time Hulk Hogan was on there. I can remember a lot of the very early Monday Night Raw main events were honestly very special. The big, the time the Quebecers beat the Steiners using the Canadian rules, where the tag titles changed on disqualification. That took place on Monday Night Raw. Basically my whole life, everything has happened on Monday Night Raw. And basically, every couple of years, you read the rumors from Dave Meltzer and other people saying that basically Vince cares about SmackDown. He wants to get this under wraps. And, basically they try their best to, beef up the roster and help them out. But each and every year, there's a draft. You can definitely see who the A show and the B show is. I mean, look at the last draft they did. Not you need those superstar shakeups or anything like that, but the actual draft they had with Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon and Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, they gave, for every 2 picks SmackDown got. Monday Night Raw got 3 picks. Basically, that is a way to really beef up the roster, and they used the fact that SmackDown was only 2 hours, by Monday Night Raw was 3, so they needed more people to fill up the entire show. But definitely, you can see there's a weighted thing. For every 6 picks, SmackDown only got 4. So your top 10, you're only getting 40% of the best talent, while Monday Night Raw is stacking themselves with 6 of the best guys that are on there. And even though every draft they do, they don't really always put the best guys in the number 1, number 2, number 3 slots, because they try to make the Intercontinental title look big, so they all pick the Intercontinental Champion before they pick Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and stupid things like that. But Monday Night Raw has always been really special to me. You look at this show, there's a few different ways that this could go. We definitely know that the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is going to be involved somehow during this show. I'm thinking that it might happen during the Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio match. Rey Mysterio, of course, coming back from his near retirement that his son was able to talk him out of. He won was it a 4-way or a 5-way last week? He won a match last week to make him the number 1 contender, to get him a title shot, to make Dominic proud of him. And, Seth Rollins has the match at Hell in a Cell. This is kind of a dream match, babyface versus babyface. We could just see Rollins go out there and have a really good match against Rey. And just, he beats him. There's no way Rey is winning this match. But, you definitely could also see Bray Wyatt coming down and using this as a moment to have a helpless Seth Rollins and beat him up to weaken him. My hope was that during the Miz TV, we would see Bray Wyatt come out and attack Ric Flair and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I think with this matchup happening, of Rollins versus Mysterio, I don't think that's going to go down, but it would be really fun. Definitely the Miz TV with Ric Flair and Hollywood Hulk Hogan is just like earlier, it's them pointing hey, we're going to be on Fox on Friday, and we're going to bring a lot more of our friends. We've got Stone Cold Steve Austin, hopefully The Rock. The Undertaker is going to be there. Tons of appearances on SmackDown going down, so that's basically what Rick and Hulk are going to be doing, just a major shill. I can't even think of who The Miz is currently involved with in a feud with, so I don't really see how that can be anything other than that. Brock Lesnar is going to be on Monday Night Raw. That is him hyping up the fact that he's actually going to have a televised wrestling match going up against Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. First time Brock has wrestled since probably 2003, maybe 2004 on Monday Night Raw, if I have my timeline right. So, Brock actually wrestling for free is honestly a really big deal. But then again, most wrestling fans have the network. They've seen every Brock match he's ever had. There's no really pay-per-view buys that are out there anymore. I'd be really surprised if Brock didn't beat Kofi. I don't really know where you go from there if Brock doesn't beat him. Kofi Kingston would probably get the biggest win of his career and then just be still stuck in a feud with Randy Orton. So it doesn't make sense Brock to get the win there. We got a tag team champion. No, it's not a tag team champion match. It's just Alexa Bliss taking on Sasha Banks. Who cares? And then Cedric Alexander is going to be taking on AJ Styles for the United States title. AJ beat Cedric pretty much hands down last time they had a match. I wouldn't be surprised if it just goes the same exact way. So, I'm going to shed a little bit of a tear when Monday Night Raw ends and it's no longer the show that, WWE stacks and says this is the A show. It's just going to be the 3-hour commercial for SmackDown and pay-per-views. Of course, next week we've got the draft. We're really going to be able to see if that's, what they're doing. So we'll see what goes down. It's going to be hard for me to believe that Vince gives up on Raw, but it looks like that's the direction they're going. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're talking about the Seth Rollins match where he's going to be defending the Universal Championship against Rey Mysterio on the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. This is going to be a big week for WWE. Not only are we counting down the days until WWE's Hell in a Cell, but we're also debuting SmackDown on Fox TV. You got to think, Monday Night Raw has really had a home on USA since 1993. And since 99-2000, when SmackDown was born, and we've seen that on the UPN, MyTV, it's been on USA. It's been around the horn. It's bounced around. It's kind of from channel to channel. Sometimes the channels have just kind of changed names. And now here they are, not only going to be the second show for WWE, that's probably going to be home billing the A show, the number one must-see television for WWE, hyping up all of its future pay-per-views, as well as having the biggest and brightest stars that WWE has to offer. So Seth Rollins, defending the championship is really a real big deal. But with Rollins already having a match against Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, at Hell in a Cell, it kind of already tells you that something's going to happen in this match where we're not going to have a true finish, especially looking at this as Rollins and Mysterio being two of the biggest baby faces that are involved in WWE. More than likely, the Fiend is going to be involved in this matchup somehow, or maybe just like at the last pay-per-view when it was Rollins against Braun Strowman, maybe you actually do have a really good, really big match, Just a few weeks ago, Rey Mysterio had a match against Grand Metalik, a guy that has been on Raw and SmackDown as a part of Lucha House Party, but never really been able to show his true talents, even being involved in matches on 205 Live. When he came to the company, he came in with big, bright stars, people thinking he was going to be a really big star, and he's never really been able to show it, and hasn't really broken off from the Lucha House Party deal, but had a really, really good match, and it's not going to go anywhere with Rey Mysterio for him. But I don't know if Rey got to choose that match, but much like when Kurt Angle was counting down until WrestleMania, where he was having his retirement match against Baron Corbin, Rey is getting to have a lot of, I guess you can say, dream matches with the roster on WWE. Last week he won the multi-man match in order to become the number one contender and get a title shot on Monday Night Raw. This, of course, is a part of his comeback where he's doing it for his son, for the Rey Mysterio name. Dominic will be involved in WWE somehow. I guess Rey promised to help get him into the business, as well as maybe give him the mask and continue on the gimmick somewhere down the line. I think we're all waiting for Dominic to turn on Rey. I don't think any way it's going to happen now. It's kind of too fresh. You got to let this build up. So that's the reason why I'm hanging towards Bray Wyatt being involved in this matchup, hyping up the Hell in a Cell one. But, anything can happen. But I don't really see a title change coming before Hell in a Cell. So I'm taking Rollins for the win. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're talking about WWE's edition of Monday Night Raw tomorrow, where Brock Lesnar is going to be making his appearance on Monday Night Raw. This quite honestly could be one of the last appearances of Brock Lesnar on Monday Night Raw for a very, very long time. Brock is going to be on this show basically hyping up the fact with Paul Heyman that he has a match against Kofi Kingston on SmackDown on Friday on Fox for the WWE Championship. Of course, the last time Brock and Kofi were involved in a match was an exhibition encounter that happened at the Beast in the East show, probably off the top of my head, at least 4 years ago in Japan, where Brock just destroyed Kofi. Kofi, I did think, get a few moves of offense in, getting to try and at least have a desperation dive onto Brock, but it was not enough to conquer Brock Lesnar, who just stomped all over Kofi. I wouldn't be surprised if Kofi gets a little bit more offense in, coming in as the WWE champion, but then again, they're going to have Brock beat John Cena at SummerSlam as well as at a Night of Champions show a few years ago. the way he did, and Cena being Cena, there's no way that Brock can't beat a guy like Kofi Kingston. He's basically going to come in and he's going to take Kofi and say, hey, you going after the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 35, it probably was your lifelong dream, but your lifelong dream ran for a couple months, and now it's over, Kofi. I'm taking your championship. Brock's going to probably stomp him into the ground. It doesn't really say what Brock is going to be doing on Raw. More than likely, it's just going to be a promo with him and Paul Heyman coming down to the ring and just basically saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to come to SmackDown. We're going to conquer you. We're going to take the WWE Championship, and then we're going to conquer the SmackDown roster. Brock's last run with the WWE Championship honestly didn't last as long as I thought it was going to before Seth Rollins took his championship back, but I think then it was probably being set into motion that they needed Brock Lesnar as a part of the SmackDown roster, where I figured that even after he wins the championship, he is going to be a part of that show into the foreseeable future when the draft comes around next week. So we'll see what goes down with Brock and Paul. But more than likely, I don't really see anything getting physical before he actually has his first televised match on Fox, because you don't want anything to go wrong at this point before the kickoff of their television deal on Fox TV Friday. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Tomorrow, on the edition of WWE's Monday Night Raw, we are going to get a live edition of Miz TV, with Miz having the guest stars of Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair were both two very early memories of Monday Night Raw. Ric Flair was involved in the first, I guess you can say, real main event that made Monday Night Raw really special. Ric Flair wrestled Mr. Perfect in a loser leaves town match that Mr. Perfect beat Ric Flair. Ric Flair left the company, would later re-sign with WCW. He was not able to be used right out of the gate in actual wrestling matches for one reason or another, but Rick started a Flair for the Gold, where he had a sit-down talk show where he put together the returning Four Horsemen and got himself ready that once his deal with WWE finally had finished and he was cleared to wrestle again, he could go right into wrestling main events for the company. Hulk Hogan, before WrestleMania 9, made his first appearance where he came down and he saved Brutus the Barber Beefcake after Money Inc. had basically, brutalized him with a briefcase that had a brick inside of it, where they explained Brutus the Barber Beefcake's jet ski accident that happened where he broke his entire face. It was a parasailing accident, I apologize, where he broke his entire face. That's the reason why Brutus the Barber Beefcake would wear that really weird looking Ultimate Warrior mask during the matchup at WrestleMania 9. It's some sort of a big, huge, almost like cast. Much like, the Undertaker wore when he broke his nose. And then you see a lot of NBA players that are playing with broken noses bring back the, I call it the Undertaker mask, and that's sort of what saves it. Unfortunately, as of right now, I can't think of Miz being involved with any other superstar on the roster. He's not currently involved in any feud over the United States or the Intercontinental title, so it doesn't really make sense for Flair and Hogan to poke their nose into any business there. I think what this mostly is going to be Ric Flair and Hollywood Hogan, brother, telling you to flip the channel to Fox on Friday. SmackDown no longer going to be on the USA Network. It's going to be on Friday nights on Fox. I'm guessing it's going to be 8 o'clock. Everything I've heard is it's not going to be live on the West Coast. So we'll see. We'll have to see what we can do from there. But they took away Live USA here in Sacramento years ago. And if I really cared about wrestling, there's ways I can watch it. Pretty much the same way I feel about Fox. I don't know if anybody's found any go-arounds by maybe using like Sling TV or anything like that. But if anybody knows of any like things that you don't have to illegally watch a stream and you'd be able to watch, SmackDown live on the West Coast instead of having to watch everybody in the world tweet about it and then basically watch the show later, I greatly, honestly would appreciate it. Because as of right now, sitting here, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't even know how I'm going to be able to do it with AEW because TNT doesn't have a West Coast feed here either. So, when it comes to sports, like football, they make sure that that's on live when it's on live. But for wrestling, it doesn't seem like Fox is going to be, cutting in to the local syndicated news here. So I'm guessing that's the reason why we're not going to get it live. And then they'd have to show some weird reruns after it was over. So I'm not sure why they're not doing it, but it would make a lot of sense for the money they're paying. But then again, I was gonna say Bones. I don't know any TV shows that are on Fox other than Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, and that new cartoon that's debuting tonight, Meet the Hearts or whatever it is. So I'm sure they pay a lot of money for those, and they don't have to put those on live for the West Coast. So I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So that's your Monday Night Raw full show preview. Hopefully you guys dug it. It's been a while since we've done it, and it might be one of the last ones because it looks like everything is going to be about SmackDown on Friday nights now. Peace out, guys.